What is up, everybody, and welcome to this very special episode of the Start, Build, Grow Show. I have a very, very, very special guest that you are going to want to stay tuned and hear his story, how he built a company worth well over $100 million, and now he runs a company with over 400 sales reps. Is that right? And they're nationwide and doing some amazing things in the roofing industry. And as you know, this show is all about sharing the journey of of entrepreneurs in the roofing and construction space. So you're going to want to stay tuned for this.
Interesting.
All right, my man. So without further ado, this is a rare opportunity for myself to connect with the one and only Scott Riopelle of Interstate Roofing. What is up, my man?
What's up, Randy? How's it going?
Dude,
Nice to be on the show.
I'm glad to have you, man. This is a long time coming. And I know for a while there, you kind of were like, nope, I don't really do the podcast thing. I'm going to hold off. I don't know about getting all into that. And I think I'm one of the very few people that has ever somehow talked to your people and made something happen to get you on the show here. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long journey for me, and a lot of times roofing isn't as sexy as a lot of people show on Instagram. So a lot of things that we've had to do to get here were never talked about. And
sure.
Today, some of it's talked about, some of it's left to the imagination.
Yeah. Well, we're going to dive into it, man. I'm going to press in a little bit and we're going to share your story today. So like most of my guests on this show, you know, you're very successful. And this thing is, you made your, you know, kind of, from what I know, and a lot of people in the industry know, you made your mark in the roofing space, but your entrepreneurial journey goes far beyond roofing. So we're going to kind of go around wherever you want to go with it. But how did you get into business? Like what was your origin of entrepreneurship? Maybe all the way going back into like being a kid.
You know, my uncle tells the story, and I don't know that I've ever told this story. I grew up in a small community outside of Detroit, very poor. And there was a old school with a woods in it, and there was a watermelon truck that somebody stole. And I took my little red wagon over there and I filled it up with watermelons. And I probably had to be 6 or 7 years old. And I started selling watermelons door to door. I didn't know they were stolen from a truck. I just, wow, there's a truck full of watermelons. I'm going to sell them. And I have no idea where that idea came from. But the best I can recall, that was my first really door-to-door sales job.
Yeah, I love it. I think mine was probably a few years later than that. It was more like 10, 11 years old. And I figured out, you know, I convinced my mom, well, part of the deal was I'll mow our lawn if you buy me a new weed whacker. So I convinced my parents to buy me a weed whacker. It had the big long cord. So it was no batteries back in those days. So I had a cord. I would strap the cord around my chest, and I'd figured out a way to hook my lawnmower, that turn it around backwards and hook my lawnmower to my bike. You know, those old cool bikes with like the seat that went all backwards. So I'll sit back low on my bike, and I was able to hook it to the seat. And I just drive around the neighborhood with a weed whacker and a cord and my lawnmower with a gas sitting on top of the lawnmower. And I just go knock doors. So mowing lawns, that was my first door knocking opportunity.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, right? Once you get a taste of that money, you don't want to let it go.
Yeah. Well, I think, and I don't know if you can relate to this too, but with me, it was always like we had enough to like, you know, but not above and beyond, right? If the kids in school had the Jordans and they had the things and I didn't ever, it's like, okay, you got pay less or you get like the hand-me-downs, or we'll go to the thrift store and get your clothes. And if I wanted like the new PlayStation or something, yeah, I had to go figure out how to buy it myself. So for me, I think entrepreneurship came from a little bit of intuition and some just necessity.
Yeah. And I mean, for me, I mean, when I was young, at that age, none of that stuff really mattered. When I started to get to the 9, 10, 11, and I started having the paper out, and I started selling candy, and I started being around the hustlers. My neighborhood was full of hustlers, right?
Okay.
Dope dealers and hustlers. And, you know, what they had, you know, I didn't really, I think I skipped that part of wanting the Jordans to the part where I wanted that, that 1987 Grand National GNX.
Gotcha.
See, I like for some reason, I just missed that phase of my life, or I can't really recall. I kind of got sent away when I was younger. So when I got back, that whole part of my life was gone.
Yeah.
And, my mom had me at 15 and I lived with my grandparents. So whatever I had is just what I got. And if I had to wear the same shirt twice, I had to wear the same shirt twice.
Yeah.
I didn't come from I came from nothing, essentially.
Yeah. What do you think? And I want to lean into that because, fast forwarding to now, but, those early days, and I've studied this a little bit too, and even in my own journey, but that family of origin, right? Like the things that we go through in our adolescence as children, I think really kind of set the table and mold us into who we become as adults. Like, how are some of those experiences, how did that like lay a foundation for you and as you followed in your journey, both some of the challenging parts and then now into like some of the really successful stuff?
So, I mean, I can remember, I didn't know I was rich until my CPA said, Scott, you can quit staying at the Motel 6 now. You can stay at a Marriott. You're rich. I'm like,
what does that even mean?
What does that even mean? This is all I know. She's like, you got to quit getting bed bugs, because I'd be on the road chasing storms.
Yeah.
And staying at a budget motel and getting bed bugs. And I didn't need to stay in them hotels. But in my mind, that's the way I was raised, that I still needed to stay in that. I still needed to save every penny I made. I still needed to make it last. And for me to, even when I got married and I moved into this great big house and a great big pool and a great big yard, and I never even left my room or the kitchen.
Yeah.
So today I live in a small house in Denver.
Yeah.
Because that's where I feel most comfortable.
Yeah.
So I think my early days molded me to be comfortable in my skin with what I have. And I don't need to be flashy, and I don't need to have all this extra stuff to be accepted by myself or others.
Sure. Yeah. And I think that's huge, is because I think so many of us, a lot of entrepreneurs, like we were just talking about before the show, is like, we post all the highlight reels of our life. Right. And it's like, you talked about like the journey of, you see the success, you see the sale of your business, but it's like, you don't see all of the challenges that came in order to get there. Right. So let's dive back into the story. So, got in early, knew you were an entrepreneur early on. And how did you, find your way into the construction, into the roofing space?
So it's kind of funny, right? I was in and out of juvenile hall, in and out of drug rehabs, in and out of prison. And I was working, I was in a rehab, but I was working at a restaurant in Ann Arbor.
Yeah.
And we were going on, and I made there was a newspaper article that they were hiring executive chefs to cook for Jackson Hole, Wyoming, 300 college girls. And I said, I got to get this job. So my friend had a laser printer where he was going on Dead with Grateful Tour. So he's making big backstage passes for Grateful Tour. I had him make me a Culinary Arts Institute degree. So I got this Culinary Arts Institute degree, and I turned it in with my resume, and they hired me immediately for the University of Michigan to go cook in Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
What, did you know anything about cooking?
I couldn't make a grilled cheese.
I love it.
So they hired me on the spot. Oh my God, you got this amazing resume, blah, 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 blah. So we get in these cars and we start going to Jackson Hole, Wyoming. By the time I get there, the sous chef decides that I can't cook. It's like, look, give me half your check and you just go fish all summer. I said, sounds like a good deal. So it's like the first sales, I made that sale. And then when I got out, I had some friends that I got sober with that were in Michigan, that were in Colorado, and they were working for Marty Haight.
Okay.
They were knocking doors, and they said, you should come up here and see this hustle we have. We got this great hustle.
Okay.
And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, what hustle could this be? They're going to have me smuggling something somewhere. And I go up there and they're making all this money knocking doors.
Yeah.
For Marty Haight back and they were playing in the AA poker game. And so I said, well, I'm going to decide to do this. And, but not yet. I'm going to go to New Mexico first because I got offered a position to go to New Mexico.
Okay.
So I went back home to Detroit, packed all my stuff, and I moved to New Mexico. I lasted in New Mexico a couple months, and then I ended up back in Denver knocking doors. And I started knocking doors for a lot of the old original, Marty Haight, and I believe it was the Farmers and the Pearsons, a lot of the old names you don't hear in this industry anymore. But I started knocking doors for these guys because one of my friends in AA started working for them.
Yeah.
And within months, I had the game mastered. This was 31 years ago, and then within a year, I opened my own business.
Gotcha.
So it just happened so quick that I can't even really recall how quick it happened.
Yeah. What made you decide to go do it on your own?
They all had brand new crotch rockets out in the parking lot, and my check bounced.
Change the record in this industry, right?
Right. And I'm like, well, you guys went and bought these motorcycles and my check's no good. And they said, yeah, but it'll be good next week. And I said, no, it won't.
That doesn't work.
And so good thing I had a good mentor. And my mentor said, let's go open our own business, kid. I'm like, I had no idea about business. And I did what every good roofing company owner does. They take material from every company and they white out the company's name and put their company on there. And
Kinko's contracts.
All of a sudden I had a contract from Kinko's.
Yep.
And then next thing you know, I remember I'm knocking doors, selling deals. This guy goes, do you have insurance? And I'm like, well, yeah. Let me get you a copy. I whited out their name on insurance, wrote my name in. And the guy called me and he goes, you really don't have insurance, do you? I said, no. He goes, well, I'm going to help. I'm an agent. I'm going to help you get insurance. So then the guy helped me get insurance. So from that point on, I realized I just need to be honest with everybody. Look, I'm starting my own business because I didn't get paid. And it was pretty well received. This was 31 years ago. It was pretty well received. And a lot of people, the storm industry wasn't as relevant as it is here now today.
Yeah.
So people helped me, customers all decided to help me make my own business. Yeah. And that's how I ended up in the roofing business.
That's really cool. So I guess the precedent there, I think there's some correlation with every entrepreneur in all of our journeys we do not get where we get alone. We all have help one way or another. Like you mentioned mentors, you mentioned people, come to your lives. Like how big of a role has that played early on in your career as far as, having the kind of the right or even maybe the wrong people in your journey to help you get there?
I think that's an everyday battle, Randy. I think the mentors that we use early on are different than the mentors we use today. And for me, it could have been very easy when I pulled up and seeing them motorcycles in the driveway that I was the victim. Yeah, I'm the victim. I didn't get paid. I worked. I bought them for you, and now you didn't pay me. Instead, I said, okay. And I quit being the victim. And I said, you know what? I'm going to change the course of my history, and I'm going to go seek out the people that I need to help me do what I need to do. Wally Webb. There's a lot of guys in sobriety in AA. Fortunately, I was in AA.
Yeah.
That's where I met a lot of people in this industry was Alcoholics Anonymous. And, they helped me decide that I'm not the victim, right? That I can have control and change my own destiny. And that's what I did then. That's what I do today, because today I still could be the victim, right? Oh, I didn't get what this other person got. Oh, they ate the deductible and I lost a job. Oh, they gave them an upgrade. Or, you know what? I need to do better on the next job to get it.
Yeah.
See, because it's all about, are we the victim or are we not the victim?
Yeah, I think that's a great piece of advice. I mean, we can either blame others or take ownership with ourselves. And it's interesting because as a dad, I find myself trying to trying to lay that and work with my own kids. That my kiddo just walked in a little bit. He was 9 years old, and you know, I find him, you know, we play sports and doing all these things, and I try to train him to, whenever something goes wrong, or when he gets frustrated, or maybe he didn't do something right, struck out, or maybe he's a pitcher and maybe something didn't go right in the game, and his instinct is to be like, well, followed by this happened and this person did this person did this. I'm like, no, hold that.
Or the umpire
what did you do
was
first?
calling it wrong. Yeah.
What did you do? Like, what can you do to get better? You can't control them. You can't control what other people do. All you can control is your attitude and your energy and your effort. How do you do that? You know? And
luckily I had a program of recovery that helped me spot that in myself and help me develop that. That wasn't like a God-given skill that I was given. I had to be taught that skill.
Yeah.
And luckily, thankfully I was taught how to become responsible for my actions.
Yeah.
Because I am, I'm guilty of a lot of things. I've made a lot of bad decisions in this life.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people talk about the bad decisions they've made,
Yeah.
but I've probably made 2 bad decisions for every good decision I've made. Yeah. And fortunately, I'm still here today.
Yeah. Well, I think, we all do that. We all learn from our bad decisions, but I think that's the key though, is you make bad decisions. As long as we're learning, growing, and getting better and improving, that's all we can ask of ourselves and the people around us. And kind of my mantra is just get better every day. Like, wake up today and just try to be a little bit better of a human being, of a father, of a leader that I was yesterday. And if I can just stay on that trajectory, every once in a while you slip, you fall, you mess up, then you just get back on, right? Like, hey, get back on the horse, right? Get back on it, What, we're in entrepreneurship, right? In roofing, getting going early on. What are some of the biggest challenges and or mistakes that you made?
It's funny that you said horses, right? I mean, that was one of the things I was in was the horse business, right? Yeah. Most people in the horse business lose money. They're in the horse business to lose money. Somehow I figured a way to get in the horse business and I made money.
Yeah.
I think everything that I touch, I automatically want to turn into a business. Like, I just cannot have fun. Everything that I do, I have to somehow make money off of it or turn it into a business.
Yeah.
And I think that comes with entrepreneurship, right?
Sure.
It's just, that's how my mind works compared to other people's minds.
Yeah. Is that a blessing or a curse?
I guess it depends who you ask. My ex-wife would tell you it's a curse. My kids would probably tell you it's a curse, and I'd tell you I'm changing generations.
Yeah.
It just depends who you ask.
Yeah.
Because it's like I'm at dinner and I can't put that phone away because I just got to make that one last deal. Yeah. But yet, if I don't put that phone away, my kids are going to resent me for it.
Yeah.
I'm going to end up not married anymore because that's what happens, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the struggle that we do as entrepreneurs, is that we're always working. My mind never shuts off. And and until I have somebody that forces me to shut my mind off, I'm not going to ever shut it off. I'm always going to be in the middle of the night. I'm going to wake straight up out of bed and have a business idea.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you can relate to that or not. But.
Well, that's what I think everyone listening and watching this is can relate to that. I know I can relate to that. And and we're kind of coming up on our where our roads, our paths cross, but circling back to like starting off in a roofing company, what are some of the biggest challenges that, if you can remember back then? I mean, that's been a while, but what are some of the biggest challenges that you faced?
I mean, they didn't have EagleView. They didn't have CRMs. They had, I had to learn how to run a magnet board. I had to learn how to, I had to learn what insurance, I had to learn that I couldn't have drywall insurance. I had to have roofing insurance.
Yeah.
Like
it's more expensive. Not let me get the drywall.
I didn't have anybody to go to ask about what do I have to do for roofing.
Yeah.
I had to go to everybody individually and figure out what I had to do. And, I had a pager. I didn't have a cell phone. these things were tough, right? We had telemarketing rooms. We telemarketed. You know, we did a lot of things outside the box. And I think the biggest thing that I started doing that no one else was doing is I was knocking doors.
Yeah.
I had come from a Kirby background. I had a Kirby job. I'd learned how to knock doors. I sold grave sites. I sold everything you could think of door to door.
Yeah.
And I said, well, why can't you sell roofs door to door? And the guy goes, well, maybe we can. And I said, okay. So I started selling roofs door to door.
Yeah.
And that's, I believe, what made me successful is because there wasn't an internet. There wasn't online. There was a phone book and there was telemarketing and nobody was really door knocking back then.
And now, I mean, you were one of the pioneers back in those days. And this was where, I mean, before as storm chasing kind of became a thing and you just followed around and knocked doors. And now it's like the industry's changed, their persona has changed, everything's changed, where it's still prevalent. You still like, you know, I do a lot of consulting and coaching with companies, and they're like, you know, starting out a company, and they're like, okay, I want to get all the leads and do this. I'm like, you got to go knock doors. That doesn't necessarily need to be the be all end all. There's other ways to build your brand, to build a website, to do the online stuff, to do telemarketing, hire marketing companies. You can do all these things, but those things cost a lot of money. What doesn't cost you money is to go out there and knock on doors and let people know who you are. Because you're not going to compete with the big names in any market, because I mean, the tens of thousands of dollars that I know I spend a month on marketing, like a small roofing company that's just starting out isn't going to be able to compete with that.
Correct.
But hand-to-hand combat, door-to-door sales, like, is still a great way to get started. But I believe that, you know, we got to start to diversify, because it's getting more and more difficult. I'm sure you're seeing it. It's getting more and more difficult out there to do that, because a lot of people do it. Plus the consumers' minds have been kind of,
I mean,
turned off on it as well.
One of the things that have come across my desk that really makes sense. I mean, I haven't been out knocking doors often, but a guy who's worked for me for 17 years, been knocking doors for me 17 years. He said, you know, I used to spend 15 to 20 minutes per homeowner, and I could sign 10 or 12 deals a day knocking doors. Yeah. Today, I have to spend 2 to 3 hours per homeowner to make sure I don't lose that deal. Therefore, I can maybe max out on 3 deals a day. Yep. And for me, that really like hit home as, okay, so you have to sell it on true sales ability, because everybody's offering the same service. Everybody's offering drip edge. Everybody's offering ridge. I remember
upgrades it's all.
Everybody's doing the same thing. But the thing that we forget in sales is that people buy off people they like. Yeah. So how are they ever going to have a chance to like you if you spend 15 minutes with them? Yeah. Now, if you spend 2 or 3 hours with them, you know they're going to like you or not. Once they like you and they feel accountable to you, they're not going to cancel your contract. Yep. They're not even going to consider talking to another roofer. Yep. And I think that is one of the biggest problems in this industry, is that everybody in life, not just this industry, but like everybody wants more. How many jobs did you get? Oh, I got 20 jobs. Well, you lost 18 of them. Exactly. I would rather have 4 jobs and not lose any of them. Yep. And I'm trying to explain that to my younger generation of sales associates coming up, and they're starting to get it, but they get so consumed on flashy lights and Instagram and Facebook that they have to sign all these numbers to be successful. But we don't get paid for signing contracts. We get paid for final roofing jobs and getting the final check. Exactly. We get paid when we get the check and it's profitable. That's something. Yeah. And as a business owner, I think a lot of us, a lot of people in the industry, again, on the consulting side of what I do, we really help with that, because I think I know you've seen it. Companies go out there. I mean, go back to like, 10, 15, let's go 15 years ago in this market. There was maybe like 7, 8, 10 companies that kind of had like 80% of the market share. Look right now, how many of those are left? 4, maybe? I don't know. You guys are still around, and some of us have emerged, there's not many around. And because I think we put so much emphasis on the front end and the flashy, like the sell, sign. We don't put enough emphasis on like complete the cycle.
Because if you go out and sell 100 deals and 10 of those deals you don't collect, you sold 100 deals for free.
The thing that I measure companies with in my 30 years is I would look which companies have been on the Broncos Stadium, which roofing companies have been on the Rockies Stadium, which company has been on the Pepsi Center. Now, today, which companies of them are still alive?
None.
I don't know of any.
It's like they go out, they catch lightning in a bottle, and they're like, "Well, okay, let's triple our marketing budget and
you got to remember
infrastructure.
Infrastructure. You got to spend the money on infrastructure, right?
Yeah,
people. If you don't have the right people, you're not going to have the right goals and the right infrastructure to get where you need to go in this business.
Yeah. So we're going along the journey here, but what a lot of the viewers may or may not know is that you were one of the first people that that mentored me getting into this industry. So I got in, I was a contractor, started my own business, went to Texas and got into insurance, became an insurance adjuster, living in Austin, started working deals there, started kind of trying to figure out how to sell roofs there. But that only lasted a few months. And then all of a sudden, a friend of mine who was working for you at the time was like, "Hey man, come back to Colorado. I'm from Colorado. I wanted to get back here, but was like, hey man, I can get you a job with one of the biggest companies in town. Can you help me?" And lo and behold, the person on the other phone was Mr. Scott Riopelle. And so I did my original interview with you, and I show up, sit there in the office with you. And I don't know if you even realize this, but like that moment was like one of the pivotal moments of my entire life and my entire career, and I've always, respected and appreciated you for that, because you gave me an opportunity. I had no experience, just some punk kid from Colorado, from coming in from Texas, trying to figure it out. And you're like, I think you saw something. Maybe you saw something in me that I didn't see myself. And lo and behold, I sat with you and was like, who was? I remember this. I was like, all right, who are the top guys? And you're like, this guy. All right, cool. So I went to make friends with them right away. I was like, let me make friends with these guys and learn from the best. Right? That's just my mentality. It's like, figure it out. And then, we did some chasing, moved around, ran some storms and those sort of things. But I think what's really important about this story is that something you said to me, I don't know if you ever realized this, but something you said to me was like so profound that like defined my whole career. And what it was when I came in and I made the decision that I'm going to go start my own business. Okay. It's like you did. And you've seen this countless times, right? Sometimes it goes really bad. Sometimes it goes really well. I made a decision to do that. And I went and sat with you and I was like, hey, I said, I remember specifically, I was like, I know I got a good opportunity here. I can go I've done well here. You've always paid me. I've never had any, I've always done really well here, but there's something inside of me that says I will regret not trying this and not doing this for the rest of my life. And what you said to me was, what took you so long? You basically were like, I'm surprised it took you this long. And that's like, it's like at that moment, it just gave me this little jolt of confidence that interesting. Someone else kind of sees something in me that maybe I don't see myself. And I don't know if you ever told you that story, but you told me that and we worked it out as a good deal. And we've been able to run parallel ever since. And I've always looked up to you as a mentor, and I appreciate, what you did and the opportunity that you gave me, my man.
Thank you, first off. And the truth is as business owners, we all know who walks in that door, who's going to short-term us, who's going to be opening their own business, right? Because deep in your mind, the people that have it and the people that don't have it. Now, we don't always accept that.
Yeah.
But we know it. And, from the day you walked in the door, I knew you'd be out on your own. And you came in a day where it was the Wild West. I mean, we had the news channels out front. We had fist fights going on in the sales meetings. I mean, it was over on Osage, right? Yeah. 2009. Was it 8? 2000? I don't know.
That was 2009. Yeah.
It was the Wild West. Tom Martino was knocking on our door. I'm like, who's there?
Yep.
And the truth, and doing right from wrong, you had to decipher who was right and who was wrong, right? Yeah. Because there was a lot of people putting up because that was the storm, in my opinion, that changed Colorado roofing forever. right? There was bigger storms. There was the 1996 storm, the 95 storm, the 97 storm. But that 2009, there was the 2004 storm. There was the 2001. There's a lot of storms. But that 2009 storm, if you look back at Interstate Roofing, then at 2009, I mean, there's multiple roofing companies that have come from that office.
Yeah.
I mean, from Interstate Roofing, the tree goes deep.
Yeah.
And I could either make the choice to support and honor the people that do it right, because you're going to do it, or I could be an asshole and mess with your money. And, I just always chose to do what's right because it wasn't done right to me.
Yeah.
And I didn't want that same burden to be put on somebody else.
Yeah. And I respect that. It's, you gave me the opportunity to close all my deals and make a smooth transition. And I did everything I could to make it as smooth and clean as possible. And never once did I call it into your people or anything. I just like, you know what, I'm going to do this fresh slate and let's figure it out. And somehow, some way I started to find some decent people and figured a few things out along the journey.
And I think Denver's quadrupled since then, right? I mean, it's massive.
Yeah.
And, I quit chasing storms for a while and now I'm back on the road.
Yeah.
Our goal is to open up, all 50 states. We're in, I think, 13 or 14 of them now, active offices. And, is that a good goal? I don't know. It's fun. I'm having fun.
Yeah.
Because I'm an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah. It just feeds that inner desire that to chase it's not about the money anymore. It's just about the challenge, right?
Because you're never going to be happy working for somebody else. I'm never going to be happy working for somebody else.
Yeah.
I'm only going to be happy that I'm involved in something bigger than I can do myself.
Yeah.
And that has happened. It's the evolution of happens, not just in this business. If you look at the heating and cooling companies, if you look at the car dealerships, if you look at all these other companies, roofing is one of the last fragmented companies to do this.
Yeah. Industries.
Yeah. And it's starting to evolve. And we got to thank SRS and Beacon and these companies like that have helped pave the road for us and educated private equity on what we're doing.
JobNimbus is a fully customizable back office solution.
Track leads, jobs, tasks from one easy-to-use software.
And with the largest ecosystem of integrated partners, if we don't do it, we have a friend who does.
Learn how the #1 back office system in roofing
can help you be efficient, be organized, be professional, and be profitable.
From day one, it was just shockingly different.
They did such a great job.
Extremely happy.
I have a salesperson that works 24/7.
We've worked with a lot of different agencies over the years, and I think we found, just like most people in this room probably, that they're extremely frustrating, really annoying. Tim and his company is just light years apart from anybody we've ever experienced.
Well, and it's a great topic we'll go there and then we can start to kind of wind down. But, you built your company. You're in how many states were you in before you ended up going down the private equity route?
I was in 8.
So you built your company and then, you went from like pure storm chasing to like, how about we set up offices, right? And then you started setting up basically right as I was leaving. That's when you were like, why don't we just set up permanent offices and keep our brand and try to go that direction? So you worked on that over the last, 12, 15 years.
And the truth is that bleeds you dry.
I can imagine.
If you don't have the right infrastructure, it could put you out of business.
Oh yeah. I've seen it happen. I've made mistakes. I was learning from, I was like, all right, well, we were in multiple states and sure. Right early on, I went here, went there, went to a couple different places and quickly learned that you spread yourself really thin and
it gets expensive.
It gets really expensive really quick. You're like, wow, okay. That just completely destroyed my bottom line trying to have multiple offices when I don't have enough of a base of enough of a foundation in the one to then go start branching out.
And typically the owner is the best salesman, right?
A lot of times,
typically in small businesses, the owners are the best salesmen. And that's one of the best things that I learned from my mentor early on is do what you're good at and hire the rest out.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been able to do.
Yep.
And I think that's part of my success too. But, at some point I had to make that decision where I had to slow down. I couldn't do this on my own anymore.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what brought us where we're at, right? Where the only companies, the private equity that I've joined, the only companies we own are companies that have come from me. So, Pro West Roofing, I brought Pro West into the roofing. They started.
I worked with them back in the day. I worked with them. Yeah.
Bob started selling roofs on a skateboard.
Yep.
Danny Flanagan. We brought Danny Flanagan in. He was single parent, about to get married, didn't know what he was going to do with his life. He found the roofing industry and he changed his life. Yep. Right? We gave him the tools and he changed it. Now he's my partner.
Yeah.
Matt Friedman, bless his heart. I don't know if you remember him. He happened to pass away. God bless his soul. Now his brother's running it. He's a part of us.
Yeah.
So we have been Dustin DeVito, right? We brought him back. So basically we're bringing the gang back.
Yeah.
All the A players that have been involved in my life, not all of them, but some of them, we're bringing back together so we can build this platform and we can be the fire breathing dragon that we want to be.
Yeah.
And it's been fun.
Yeah. I like it. And it's like, it's fun to go after and try to tackle something that like a lot of people are talking about, a lot of people are trying to do, and you guys are doing it. You're in process and it's happening. And it's kind of, and me as, someone who's sitting on the sidelines, kind of been in that. I know every single one of these guys been in that circle and it's exciting to just see what's going on in the industry. I'm just intrigued by watching it. And I'm in a weird place though, I was still on the show here, but it's like, we could talk about the entrepreneurship and that drive and that drive to do all these things. And there's a certain part of you that's like, yeah, you want to go down that road. But for me, it's like, I struggle with like, okay, do I let my entrepreneur just take over and go all in all the time and deal with the challenges of my kids being frustrated? Like, hey dad, I got baseball practice. Like you're on your phone working. Like, so I'm in a place where like, you know what, I'm just going to cruise for a few years before. And right now I'm like, keep the business going. Let's cruise. We have some amazing things in place, but I want to be there. I'm literally leaving here to go coach baseball. And that's what
to cut you out. We're literally in inning 1 of a 9-inning game.
Yep.
So we're at such the beginning of this. We're in inning 1.
Yeah.
So for all of you guys that are listening to this and gals, we're in inning 1. Don't worry about whether you do it today or you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
We have 9 more innings to play.
Yeah.
Right. We're literally in inning 1. I'm at the ground floor of this. I wouldn't recommend somebody go out. I would recommend that they build their company the right way.
Yeah.
They understand and what EBITDA means.
Yeah.
And they
earnings before interest, depreciation, and amortization.
I don't know.
I do know that. I've had to practice that one.
I went to the 9th grade, but what I do recommend is that you understand these things. You understand what your goals in life are. You have pros and cons.
Yeah. Because
this life isn't for everybody, right? I'm happy I did it, but not everybody's happy they've done it. I've talked to a lot of guys that have done it that are unhappy.
Yeah.
Nobody in my group, everybody in my group, we're all ecstatic and we're all happy.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of groups that I have talked to that they run the owners out, that they don't want them involved, that they don't. I work with an incredible group of partners. I learn more than I probably teach, right? Yeah. Because they say that saying goes, surround your table with people that are smarter than you.
Yep.
So I was able to do that because, I might know more about step flashing than you, but guess what? You know more about business than me. Only business I know is the roofing business or the construction business or the horse business. And I mean, to go back to that, and that's a whole nother episode, but the truth be told, I made more money in other businesses than I did the roofing business, but I love the roofing business the most. So I've made more money in real estate. I've made more money in horses. I've made more money in different parts and different fragments of my life, but I always end up back in the roofing industry because this is where my stable, steady Eddie paycheck comes from.
Yeah, I love it. And I joke about this all the time, but I said all the time, like 2 things. 1, people don't choose the roofing business. The roofing business chooses you. And 2, roofing is not a job. Roofing is a lifestyle. You get into this business, you get this industry, and it becomes extremely difficult to find something else, because you can do variants. You work with different companies. There's the supply side, there's the install side, there's the roofing side. There's so many different things to do in this industry. But once you get in the industry, it kind of just becomes a part of you, and it has with me. And I'm so grateful to this industry because, when I met you, man, I was bankrupt. I was broke. I barely had a pot to pee in, and I had nothing to do besides just go knock doors, put your foot against the wall and kick and go forward. That's all I could do. And it just so happened that it was a roofing industry that helped me, get out of that challenge, that trying place that I was in life. And here I am now. Like,
it was a purpose, right? When
extremely blessed.
I think back to when I met you, you had no purpose. You just drove across country. Your mother missed you. You had some friends. You had a lot of friends. You were kind of in and out of college, and you just didn't really know which direction you wanted to go. But you knew, like when I met you, I knew you were going to be successful at whatever you did.
Thank you.
And for my goal for you to sell roofs, I'm like, sure, you can sell roofs, but that's not going to last long, right? And I'll tell a quick story. I remember when we had them yellow Frisbees, and we were throwing yellow Frisbees on top of everybody's roofs in Parker. And we would go knock on the door and say, hey, you got a Frisbee on your roof. You want me to get your Frisbee off? And you'd get off, and the Frisbee would be Interstate Roofing Frisbee. And then you would have to sell the homeowner why you threw the Frisbee on there and why you had to get it. And I remember you getting them deals. And I'm like, I'm driving in this neighborhood, because I used to be in the neighborhoods all the time. Yep. And there's yellow Frisbees on everybody's roofs. And you're like, I got a plan. And so your plan turned into action, that turned into deals, that turned into a neighborhood, that turned into ultimately a paycheck and a purpose. Yeah. So you had a purpose of why you did it. And not many people, they do things, but they don't have purposes. They don't have the end result already mapped out of like what the rebuttals are going to be. How are they going to, like, how is this homeowner not going to beat me up for throwing a Frisbee on his roof? How am I going to sell this homeowner a roof that I just threw a Frisbee on his roof? You already had all them obstacles overcame. And that's when I knew. I was like, yeah, this dude ain't going to be here long.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, you got to figure it out, right? You got to overcome like challenges and figure out things to overcome. And I hated knocking doors, man. It was just like for me, it was like, you either go knock doors or you do not live or you do not eat. So it's like, okay, I'm going to go do what I have to do. And I started bringing up my brother and brother. People were like, you go knock doors and I'll come sell.
But you knew you had a purpose.
I figured it out.
You needed a purpose.
Started that process.
Door.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And the purpose for you to knock the door was to get the Frisbee, because you knew you couldn't leave the Frisbee up there. So you had to give yourself a purpose to knock that door. And I watched that and I'm like, okay, well, there you go. Yeah. That was a smart situation.
Yeah. It's crazy what you do when you're put in different situations in his life. That what the challenges is really what kind of where you really see not only your own character and your own tenacity and ability to overcome things, but you see that in others as well. So continue to do that as leaders, right? As leaders, as entrepreneurs, find people that can overcome challenges. You got to focus on overcome challenges, and that's really what how you build a team and see what they're truly made of. Let's talk real quick, and then we'll kind of wind down here. You sold your business a couple years ago. How long ago has it been now?
I sold majority interest about a year and a half ago.
Yeah. How was that process? It comes up all the time, my man. I mean, share me what you can. Like, it's a buzzword, private equity. Everybody's trying to either sell or buy or do all these things. Give me a couple pointers on that.
I almost sold in 2016, and thank God I didn't, because then we had the 17 storm.
Yeah.
You got to remember, I closed on my sale of my business May 5th of 2023, and what happened May 9th of 2023.
Yep. Got a big storm.
One of the biggest storms we've ever had in Colorado history.
Yep.
And I wasn't angry. I was happy because I was able to build and change people's lives. And I think for me, like the best way I can explain it is owning the new truck in the driveway, right? At the office. I want to pull up to the office. I want everybody there to have a new truck. Mm-hmm. I don't want to pull up to that office and watch everybody else have beat up cars or expired plates. I want them all to have new trucks. And I was at the point in my life where I had everything. I didn't need anything else. I don't need to go to work. And that's not being cocky, but it was time for me to share what I have with everyone else. And so then I started interviewing some companies, right? And a lot of the companies are in it for themselves, right? A lot of these PE guys are the bankers that none of us want to deal with. The attorneys that overbill and underdeliver. And then I met the group that I met with, and they gave me their plan. They had already bought Bob at Pro West.
Yeah.
And they said, okay, we want to buy these companies of people that have come from, you guys have all worked together, because A, all your processes are the same. B, all your business models are the same. And C, you all get along, right? So we want to go after, and we want to build this platform of a roofing company that everybody's already friends and get along with. Because private equity, if you research private equity, 90% of private equity push out the CEO in year one, right? With us, all our CEOs are still involved. We talk every day. We're still a big part of what we're doing. We get along. Yeah, we have our differences, and yeah, we have our egos, and yeah, we have our problems. But the most important thing in private equity is know who your partner is. Are they going to micromanage you, or are they going to let you run the business?
Yeah.
And for me, I'm still running the business. And for me, I'm able to learn from my partners instead of me just teaching what they know about roofing, them sucking out and them reselling, because that's not what it's about. Are we putting lipstick on a pig, or are we building something that's going to last forever? It's going to be legacy. And that's how I picked the partners I picked. We're building a legacy brand. Yeah. Our brand is going to be legacy.
Yeah. I love that. I think, it comes right back down to something we talked about early on, people. And that seems to be my biggest challenge is like I want to do business, just like people buy from people they know, like, and trust. I want to do business with people I know, like, and trust. And I think that becomes a big challenge in what's going on in private equity. So if you're thinking about it, if you're going down that road, listen to what he said. It's find the partnership, find the group that you can. I mean, this is a marriage, right? I mean, you're going to be with these people. You're doing a major business deal. You got to be able to, work with them day in and day out, right?
And you got to remember, I make $180,000 a year. As a roofing company owner, I made 2 commas, sometimes 3 commas. Yeah. Now I'm making $180,000 a year, and which is a good living. Yeah. But I'm not making owner money anymore. I'm investing the money I make back into the company.
Yeah. Because there's a bigger picture.
There's a bigger picture.
Yeah. I think that's something we can take no matter what, if we think about the bigger picture, because I've always been that way. I'm probably, I'm probably one of the lowest paid roofing owners of an 8-figure roofing company you would even think of. But I've always had that mentality of always pouring back. That's how we got through COVID. That's how I got through 4 years of no hail and came out of it thriving, because of always, like, on the good years, something like you've taught me too, without even knowing it. It's like when you make money, like, put it somewhere. Invest it, like, put it somewhere and make more money for you. Start other business, like different things that I've done that have helped me survive some of the challenges of the cycles in business. And that's something that I'll wrap up with on my end is, as an entrepreneur, there's cycles, right? They say every 10 years, you're going to have 2 really crappy years, 2 amazing years, and 6 years are going to be okay. Right. And there's cycles. You're going to have ups, you're going to have downs in your life. Maybe every week, every month, every year, there's cycles. Just know that there's cycles. If there's a winter, if you're in winter, spring's coming, summer's going to come. If you're in summer, just know and have in your back of your mind that there's going to be a downturn. There's going to be a challenge. There's going to be another recession coming. Like every 8-9 years, there's technically some sort of a recession economically. Pay attention to this stuff. Know that stuff, and don't let it debilitate you when it happens. Right?
Yeah, without
plan
question.
For it. As in traditional fashion on the show, as we start to wrap up, I always, ask my guests, as you're an entrepreneur, to the guests out there, new entrepreneurs, old entrepreneurs, people in roofing, people not in roofing, they're listening here. What would be the best piece of advice that you would give them?
I was just thinking that as you spoke, right? And one of the things that I could truly say is don't be that new athlete. Don't sign that big contract and then find a whole new friend group. When you sign that big contract, keep them same friends. That keep that entourage that you had that helped you, lifted you up, and got you that contract. Don't get rid of them people and act like they have their hands out. Take care of the people that have helped you get there. Don't take care of the people that are keeping you there, because the new friends, the new places that you go in life, they're all going to tell you you're right. As long as you keep paying them, they're going to keep telling you how awesome you are, as long as you still buy that $100 steak. And for me, it's don't ever lose grasp of where you came from. Because the minute I lose where I came from, or the minute I lose the people that helped me get there, is the minute I'm not there anymore. Because the truth is people are only going to tell you the truth if they love you, because it's hard to tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah.
When you tell me I'm wrong, I might bite your head off. But you know what? I'm going to go home and I'm going to process that. I'm going to realize I was wrong, and I'm going to come back tomorrow and I'm going to apologize.
Yeah.
And I'm going to change, right? Because I need the people in my life that are strong enough to understand and coach me and be a part of me.
Yeah.
And that for me is hard, right? It's hard to, because I want to go be a part of the in crowd. I want to go be behind the rope at the nightclub, at the club. I want to be that person. But on the other hand, I still want to wear my dude shoes and my shorts, and I don't want to wear a suit.
Yeah.
Right. And so you got to really search deep of who and what you are in life. Yeah. And you can't ever forget that. And what got you there won't keep you there. That's the biggest piece of advice that somebody gave me that has been of most value to me.
Yeah.
The thing that got me there hasn't kept me here. The thing that the risks that I took to get here are completely different than the risks I take to stay here.
Yeah.
And as an entrepreneur, you understand that. If you're listening to this and you are a true entrepreneur, you understand the risks early on are completely different than the risks today. Yeah. And if you don't continue to take risk, you won't continue to grow. You'll stay stagnant.
Yeah.
But if you take risk, you will grow. And because you will win, you're a winner. You're here today because you're a winner.
Yeah. I love that, man. Thank you for taking time to hang out with us. It's a great piece of advice. Take risks, get better every day. What got you here won't get you there. Right. I love that. And I appreciate you. I mean, I've known you for a long time now, and I can appreciate that you do practice what you preach. The Scott I knew back then and the Scott I know now is different and changed, and you've evolved. And I'm grateful for that. Grateful for the man and industry leader that you become, my friend. So thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks, Randy.
Appreciate
thanks, guys and girls. Keep it up one day at a time.
Let's go.